and welcome to this week's Pet Pawcast here at the Houston SPCA. My name's Alexsey. I'm the Adoption Manager here, and I am filling in for Dr. Westbrook this week because we are talking about adoptions. The reason we are talking about adoptions this week is because tomorrow is our Clear the Shelters event, where we are hoping to do a mass adoption of the animals here in our shelter, and we are offering some great things, fun for the whole family to come out. We've got some free activities, which will be Kona Ice. We're going to have some cotton candy, some balloon animals, face painting. We're also having Eureka Heights out with some beer sampling while supplies last. And everything starts at noon, but our adoptions start at 11. And also every adopter, while supplies last, is going to go home with a pet preparedness disaster kit from Hill Science Diet and a little goodie bag as well. So joining me today, we have Rhiannon. Rhiannon is an adoptable pet here. She's a wonderful, smart girl. She's about 2 years old. She's one of our abandonment cases that we have seen this year. And she is very treat motivated. I'll tell you that. Rhiannon, come here. As you can see, look at that. Such a beautiful girl. So if you want a very treat motivated, responsive girl who also loves other dogs, Rhiannon is probably the dog for you, and she's going to be available. She's actually available right now, so hopefully she makes it to tomorrow because she's super adoptable. But we are going to start talking about our adoptions here. So we're going to take a few questions.
So if somebody wants to adopt, what is the process of adoption here at Houston SPCA?
Wonderful. Our adoptions are fairly easy. So we always want you to come here and visit our animals. We think finding the perfect match involves meeting that animal. We have everyone listed on our website, houstonspca.org, so you can see who's available and kind of have an idea in your head of who you want to meet first. But we always say, come here, come meet the animals, and all of our animals that are available for adoption are ready to go home that day. So you can adopt that day and take them home that day as well.
And what are the requirements to adopt?
So our requirements, you do have to be over 18 years of age, and everyone in the household, we ask, agrees to the animal coming home. So if you live in an apartment or if you are in a rental, we do ask that you check with your landlords just to make sure that your animals are allowed in your rental agreement. And if you're, a college kid, anything like that, who lives at home with mom and dad, make sure mom and dad are okay with them coming home as well. So as long as you have a valid ID, we do have adoption fees, and that you are in agreement with our adoption contract. You can just come in, meet with everyone, and pick that new family member.
So you mentioned apartment fees. So can we adopt if we live in an apartment?
Of course, yes. As long as that animal is allowed with your apartment complex, there are many animals that do well in apartment living that we can match you up with.
So then how do we go about choosing the right pet?
That's a great question. Choosing the right pet is very individual. We do ask, one of the main things is, what is your activity level like? What's your commitment level to exercising this animal? How long are you home? Are you work from home or you work away from home? Because there's some animals that require a bit more, and there's some animals that are pretty laid back and they're pretty good with you being gone for a while. So looking at what your activity level is, what your commitment for walking is, for your commitment for care, that's going to play a really big part in which animal is the right fit for you.
So what do you recommend for a family's first pet in regards to the type of pet, age, breed, size?
Also very variable. If you have children, things like that, always want to make sure that when you're looking into younger animals like to teeth. Younger animals need to be taught, just like a child needs to be taught, what their boundaries are, what their barriers are. So always take that into consideration, that you're really going to have to watch and supervise your children around new pets. So sometimes an older, more laid back animal is more suitable. One that's already kind of has an established temperament and personality. Those are more predictable a little bit, so you can kind of work with that. But it really is variable. What is your commitment? That's the biggest one. So if you have a family, or if you're just, you at home, you and your partner at home, that's really going to decide which one is the best for you to start with. But a lot of people start with cats and kittens, but I'm a dog person myself, so that's where I'm going to head.
And we have other animals, not just dogs and cats. So what makes, somebody choose a bunny, or what type of family should choose a bunny or a guinea pig?
So bunnies and guinea pigs are so underrated. I love them. They are very playful. You can make little playgrounds for them. They communicate with you. As you handle them, they want to be held. They want to be pet. You can make little snacks and salads for them. They're really great. A lot of them do need to have that interaction daily. So they want to be a part. Did you know rabbits can be litter box trained? So they're really fun. If you're not, some people are allergic to cats. Some people are allergic to dogs, and rabbits and guinea pigs are that solution.
So what if somebody does become allergic to a dog or a cat and we don't realize it till later?
So the wonderful thing about our adoption process is that every single animal adopted from us is welcome back. We understand that allergies happen. You may not know you have a cat allergy, or if it's your first pet, you may not, realize that. And so we always welcome those animals back to us. You can return those animals back. We want to make sure that we're finding the right pet for you.
And how do we know if a family is ready to adopt?
That's a personal decision, but I really feel that if you're wanting to help an animal, if you want to have the care, that companionship, animals provide a lot of companionship. If you as a family agree that, yes, we're ready to bring in an animal, it's always the right time, in my opinion, but always make sure, are you moving soon? Are you going on vacation soon? You want to take that into consideration on, should we adopt now or should we wait to adopt? Most of the time it's travel. Do you have the time available to settle your new pet?
People have talked about, the foster program. Is that a foster to adopt, or how does that work?
So our foster program here at the Houston SPCA is mainly for our animals who are not quite ready for adoption and they need a little extra help getting there. So our foster program typically isn't foster to adopt. It's to help animals get to that adoption point where they're ready. So a lot of our fostering is for animals who are too young, who may need some extra care, animals who are recovering from a surgery, need some more weight, or maybe they have a sickness that they just need to get over before they can come up to the adoption floor.
If there's, a young puppy and kitten, I'm sure those are going to go by really fast. What are the advantages of adopting, an older dog?
So the great advantages of adopting an older dog, a lot of them are out of that puppy kitten stage, so they're settled a little more. Most of them aren't chewing as much. Most of them already have a set house training schedule for them. A lot of them, you can kind of see their personalities already. You already kind of have an established temperament. So an older dog can be a good fit for somebody who really wants something they kind of know what's happening and they don't want to deal with a lot of the puppy stage.
Somebody asked, should we adopt 2 kittens from the same litter, like 2 for 1? Is that always easier, or is there such thing as, puppy syndrome or litter syndrome?
For cats and kittens, it's not as big a concern because they do like to keep each other company. Our buy one, get one is for like an adult cat and a kitten. If you do kittens from the same litter, you will see them very bonded. They will bond with each other more than you, but they do like the company. So if you're someone who's not home a lot and your cat needs that company, sure, go ahead and get 2. That way, if you're gone at work, they've got someone to keep them company.
Are guests able to interact with the pets to, choose the right one?
Yes, we highly encourage visiting with them and interacting with them. We've got a lot of staff who will be here, staff and volunteers, to help you. If you see someone that you think, hey, that could be the one for me, then we can get you in a room, you can interact, we can tell you about them, and that way you can really get a feel if that's the right pet for you.
Should somebody focus more on personality or the breed when choosing the pet?
I would say it's a good give and take with that. I would focus on personality more. A lot of our pets here, unlike Rhiannon, you can't really tell what breed they are. Rhiannon's pretty obvious that she is a shepherd, but there are some that we're just kind of guessing because we don't really know where they came from. So our breed guesses, I wouldn't take it to be your deciding factor. I would look at the dog as a whole, because just because there are certain breed types doesn't mean that this specific dog follows that breed type. So I would really focus on the individual dog and if that personality fits your family.
And do these dogs come potty trained already if they're older?
So some of them we have a little background if they were an owner surrender and their previous owners may have given us some information that says they were house trained at their previous home. But here we don't really know because it is a different atmosphere than in a home. But our volunteers are so wonderful with walking them that they do kind of keep them on a little bit of a schedule. And some of the dogs have picked up on that, and they've started to hold and wait till they go out. So there are a few that have shown tendencies that they could be house trained, but we can never really know for sure because it's just not a home environment.
So if somebody gets lucky on Saturday and finds the one, what can they expect in the first few days, weeks, or months when they welcome their new pet?
So we do always say the rule of 3 days, 3 weeks, and 3 months. So the first 3 days is going to be a decompression stage for them. It's been a wild ride for them. They've been in the shelter, they've gone in the car, they may have never been in a car before, and then they're in a new home with new smells. So it's really decompression. We always say in the first 3 days, don't push them. Just kind of let them be, let them sleep. They're going to sleep a lot. Some of them may not eat for a day or two, and that's okay. That's okay if they don't eat for the first couple days. Now, in the first couple weeks, you're really going to see them starting to adjust, starting to learn, starting to see what your routine is, what your schedule is, what their boundaries are. And then around 3 months is when you really see, like, we are meshed. We are great.
So if somebody already has pets at home, whether it's dogs or cats, how would you recommend bringing a new pet in?
We always recommend proper introductions, and all of our staff can help you with the proper way of doing that. Anytime you bring home a new animal, you always want to keep them separate at first as they're adjusting. Like I said, that first couple of days, they're just decompressing. So we want to keep them separate and then slowly introduce themselves to each other. Tomorrow we are doing a dog introduction seminar, so I will be teaching proper dog introductions tomorrow. But we can always assist during adoption and talking about your dog at home and or your cat at home and how to introduce them slowly together.
So is there a way that we can, as we prepare for coming to the campus, to ensure that our current dog is ready to welcome a new friend in?
It's always you got to know your dog, right? So if you take your dog for walks and you see certain behaviors, like they're really barky or, they've never gone to a dog park before, things like that, you can kind of walk them and gauge how they react to new animals. But knowing your animals and their personalities will help our adoption counselors be able to kind of match them with a dog that fits them best.
And in discussion with preparing for the new pet, what supplies do we need to get for the pets?
So depending on the pet, but most, you want to make sure you've got your basics, your water bowls. If it's a dog, we do recommend crate training for them. If it's a cat, you want to make sure you've got your litter boxes and lots of toys, chew toys for sure, scratch pads, and treats. You don't know what treats they like, so try a different couple of brands and see which ones they like the best. Same thing with toys. If it's a puppy, you might want to get some potty pads. A new leash and collar is always fun to go shopping for, just so you can put that official tag on them. But definitely your basic supplies. We do send them home with a good supply of Hillside's Diet food to get you started. And then it does have a coupon on it, so you can buy some more at the pet store while you're shopping for that collar and leash.
And then you mentioned crate. What are the benefits for crating a dog? And, why should we look into that, especially when bringing in a new dog?
So a lot of people really like crates because it is a good source of safety for your dog. It's great for potty training. It's great to provide a safe place for them. So if they are scared or they need to take a break from the household chaos, they have a place only they can go. I also find it really helpful in emergency situations. So a lot of people don't realize that having an animal that's not used to a crate can make emergency situations more stressful for them. My own dogs during Harvey, when we went over to the shelter, all the dogs had to be crated. So if my dogs had never been crated before, that would have been very stressful for them. So even if you don't keep them in a crate all the time, it's really beneficial to make them accustomed to being in the crate at some point.
And how do we know when they're ready to, free roam the house? Like, how do we know if they can be trusted to be outside of the crate?
That's a great way of teaching boundaries. I always like using baby gates, and then we only give the new pet access to a limited portion of the house, and it's supervised. And then as we see them doing well, we kind of open access to other areas of the house, kind of like a integrated system. So it may take longer for some dogs to be trusted. It may take a shorter time for others. I always recommend getting a trash can with a lid.
Yeah.
That's going to help speed that process along as well.
You mentioned, I've eventually having them roam other areas of the house. What type of pet proof should we do once they get to that stage?
So you always want to make sure that any kind of chemicals, any food, things like that is really out of their reach. Sometimes you'll have a counter surfer, and that's, teaching boundaries. But if there's cabinets or anything that's open that they can get into, or if you have toilet cleaner, always keep the bathroom door shut. If you have toilet cleaner, because if they happen to drink out of the toilet, we know dogs sometimes do that. We don't want them ingesting the cleaner part of that. So if you have toilet cleaners, always make sure that bathroom door is shut. If you have under the cabinet chemicals, things like that, always make sure that is inaccessible to them. And small, tiny things that they can eat. Bouncy balls, those little bouncy balls, about this big, you can get out of those little coin machines. That is perfect to get stuck in a dog's intestines. So all these tiny little things, make sure those are picked up because you don't know a dog may ingest that.
And someone was asking, when can they show off their dog at the dog park?
So definitely wait a few weeks. You want to make sure they're really decompressed. You can always take them for walks and things like that. But sometimes dog parks are really scary for dogs. Some dogs don't like dog parks. Some dogs prefer just single play, so sometimes you may want to do play dates with a friend who has a dog. Some dogs never really want to go to the dog park, but some dogs do, and some dogs really enjoy it. But I wouldn't venture to the dog park for at least a month after adoption, just to make sure your dog is really settled and bonded with you as well.
And are the dogs, seen by a vet when they leave here? And then when should they visit the vet after they get adopted?
So we have a great partnership with SPCA hospitals. Every animal adopted from us gets a free wellness exam with them. So we do recommend going right after adoption, so you can go get that wellness exam with SPCA hospitals.
And then someone's asking, what is a tip for someone that wants to adopt, but they have a full-time job? They feel bad leaving them in the crate all day. What do you recommend?
So there's many options, for people with full-time jobs. I would always recommend possibly an older dog who's a little more set back, because puppies can't hold their, potty and pee very long, or taking some time off just so you can spend with that animal for a little bit. You can hire dog walkers. Some animals, it doesn't have to be quite a crate, but maybe a safe area of your house. You can put on Animal Planet. You can put on, they have dog YouTube videos that kind of distract them, Kong toys, things like that are safe for them to have. Those are great distractions, but in truth, they spend most of the time sleeping while you're gone. So a lot of people think, they're bored, they're missing, but a lot of times they sleep most of the time you're gone.
Yeah, my doggy Camera, 99% of the time they're sleeping on the couch. With, hundreds of dogs here that are going to be available for adoption tomorrow, which dogs are harder to adopt?
So our bonded pairs are really hard to adopt. Our senior, we call them our golden paws, they're a little bit harder. And our adult large dogs like Rhiannon here are a little bit harder to adopt because of their size. And people think their size means that their care is more than a smaller dog. And I don't think that's true at all. I only have large dogs, and they're great. Not all of them need a huge amount of space as long as they're provided for in other ways.
What is included in the adoption?
So our adoption, like I said, it does, tomorrow it includes this and this. But on a normal basis, we do have our Hills Pet Science Diet food that we send with them. We do send home a temporary leash as well. And all of our animals are microchipped, up to date on their vaccinations, and already spayed and neutered.
Perfect. What is the cost of adopting a pet from Houston SPCA?
So it does vary. So our puppies are $195, and then that cost goes all the way down to our Golden Paws large dogs, which are $25. So it didn't vary. So Rhiannon here, her adoption fee is $55. A regular large breed adoption fee is $55. For small breeds, $95. Our cats are $25, and our kittens are $75, and our bunnies and guinea pigs are $20.
So that's all the questions we have for today. So what do we have again tomorrow?
So tomorrow is our Clear the Shelters. We're going to have fun, lovely activities for the whole family. We have face painting, snow cones. We're going to have some demonstrations. We also have some barn talk happening. And I believe there's a wildlife demonstration happening as well. So lots to do. We welcome you guys out. It's going to be from noon to 6, but we do open at 11 for adoptions. And we really hope to see everyone there.